Okay, we are live. Yay! Yoo-hoo! All right, thank you everybody for attending. We are still in the situation of Mr. Trump. Yeah, no longer President Trump. Yeah, as of January 20th, he will no longer be president, and he'll be Citizen Trump. And at that time, he'll have a lot of things to do. Yeah, a lot of court and processes and catching up, processes that I talked about in the last teaching. But before he does that, he has to guarantee he kills as many people as he possibly can. Yeah. So he's working on within 100 million to 5 billion in his lifetime before he leaves his body. Yeah. And this happens in a long-term process by doing the wrong things that add up later to be highly destructive, over years and years and years. Yeah, and it could be much less. Just like in the coronavirus, we witnessed him say it's a hoax. Yeah, he starts off by always saying it's a hoax. Whatever is the truth, that's a hoax. Yeah. So the virus is a hoax. Starts off, and then he says it's a democratic hoax. It's made up by the Democrats. Yeah, and then it was caused by the Chinese. It's a Chinese virus. Yeah. So it just goes on, but what he does is that he doesn't react. He doesn't respond. He doesn't do all the things that we're meant to do. If we had any other president and any other person in the office working within the government as a truly government service person, then there is a group that takes care of this situation, and we should have not gone beyond 35,000 people dying up to this date. Yeah. We have 254,000 people who have died. Yeah. So he's doing well where he's coming from. He's doing well. Because if you ask him about that, he goes, oh, no, actually, it should be 2.5 million. So you're doing really good. I only killed 250,000 people, Because in the worst projection, if no one ever did anything and we didn't have a president and we didn't have a government and we were the poorest nation on earth, it would be 2.5 million. He's right about that. But we're not that people, And we're like many other countries that took responsibility. Yeah. But we didn't, because our president is in charge. Our president actually got in the way. Our president said things to keep people from putting on a mask. Our president said things to get people so angry they went to hospitals and parked in front of hospitals so that people working in the hospital couldn't go in as a way of petitioning. Just go back. March, April, May, June. Look at the YouTube news and see what really went down in New York and how people went crazy. Yeah, and then they got violent. Yeah, and they went to the streets, And it all got blamed on any other thing other than the reality that our president moved so much negativity and was so inactive in the process of his duties when those duties came into his situation. Whether it be people on the street, violating, doing anything. Whether it be people, that, were Trump supporters, that would carry guns and come as militia, as though we don't have a police, as though we don't have human beings with trusting characteristics, No, our president says we don't have human beings with trusting characteristics. We have thugs. And that's all you people who go out there and march. You're a bunch of thugs. That's what he said. And he said, because you're thugs, we're going to come out and we're going to beat the crap out of you because I like that. And we're going to put you in jail. And we're going to surround you with not only the police, but the military. Yeah. This is very aggressive, hyperactive, hypersensitive overactive behavior. When if it was dealt with like the coronavirus on a day-to-day basis, when it first showed up in Washington, it showed up there first. And they took care of it. They isolated it. They kept it from going elsewhere. But there had already been people traveling around the earth months before when the virus really got started up. So we didn't know Spain had it. We didn't know Europe had it. We didn't know Germany had it. We didn't know Italy had it. At the same time we had it, if not before. Because it just is what it is. It's a virus, and we have airplanes and we have travel. And we didn't expect it, and shit like this happens. But our president goes crazy. He's ready to go to war. He calls it a war. A virus, he calls a war. As though we're at war with China, which is the way he implies. And we're not at war with anybody. And this is not a war. But he's also not taking care of it. He says, slow down the testing. Oh, let's do herd immunity. Every time he opened his mouth, it was scary. Every time he opened his mouth, he scared people, and he got people not to want to do something about the virus. He got them so scared that he actually got them to believe the virus doesn't exist. 97% of the people who get the virus have no symptoms whatsoever. That's what he said publicly, and that's what they believed after he said it. And it's not true at all. Children are dying. People are dying. 254,000 people have died. Multiply that by 100. Multiply it by 100. That's how many people were in the hospital. And today we have more people in the hospital than we ever had in March when it first started. Because he believes in herd immunity. So what does that do? That means that you're going to die by the tens of thousands. That's a lot. That's a heck of a lot. 100,000 people, testing positive, 1,500 people dying in a day, every day. The numbers just go click, 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 click. It's as though we are in the worst war we've ever been in any time in our history. We're losing people. And it's because of incompetence. It's not because we don't know what to do. It's because he's telling people what not to do. He's telling people, don't wear a mask. I won't wear a mask. Why, this idiot Biden wears the biggest mask in the world. It's humiliating for all to see. That's what he puts out. He humiliates people for doing the right thing. And he lies all the time, which misdirects people at a time of extreme need for us to take charge of what's going on. So that's not happening. So he's really fulfilling as a person that he is, and you'll find this out, because you take a long time. You take a long time to figure this out. I have no problem figuring this out. I can lay out 20 years in advance for you, and it does not look good. Because you elected this guy for a 4-year term. What happens after you elected him for a 4-year term? 250,000 people were killed. Because you elected him. 250,000 people were killed. And now what's going to happen? Well, he got us out of the Paris talks to keep us from doing anything about this horrible greenhouse effect and the ecological disaster of pollution. He stepped away. And we're the biggest polluters. And at the same time he says, well, I'm going to make sure coal gets started back up big time. And I'm going to make sure we do fracking. And I'm going to make sure we do more oil digging all through Alaska. Yeah, even to the North Pole. Yeah, oil everywhere. We're going to dig it up. We're going to put it in pipes and run it across the United States. Yeah, because we do not have an ecological problem. According to him, he says, it's just another conspiracy. It's just another way for them to make money. Yeah. And he says, well, the reason why we're doing it is because I'm going to make sure Americans get back their jobs. What jobs are they? Jobs in the oil field. Because he hates wind generators. Yeah. Jobs in a coal mine. Yeah. Why? Well, mainly because he's afraid of, regular diode light. Really low, high efficiency, electricity. Anything to do with it. Yeah. Yeah. Solar, wind generators give you cancer. Solar just, it goes away when the sun goes away. And you never have electricity at night. That's the kind of idiot he is. Yeah. He says those words to keep people from believing in the future. Believing in their fellow humanity. Believing in God. Having anything to do with our aspiration as a nation. And that we're not in hell. We're not in this hellhole. Yeah. We're actually working our way out of it. We're doing all the things that it says we should do in the Paris Agreement. We've got electric cars coming by the year 2025 in California. They're not going to be allowed to be on the road. Simply not allowed on the road. Simply not allowed on the road. Yeah. And anything you buy by 2025 better be electric. Yeah. By the time you get to 2030, there'll hardly be any manufacturer whatsoever in America that will build a fossil fuel engine. Yeah. And foster coal mines. They'll close down. Yeah. There'll be empty cities. And in a lot of people's minds, oh, no, all those people. No, not really. Look toward the truth. Yeah. There are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people who are going to get jobs because we turn away from this and we turn toward putting solar on. Yeah, wind generators and building electric cars and all the manufacturing process it takes to get that happening. Yeah. The whole new world that we're running into is the world that Trump is saying it's dangerous for you to be involved in that world. It's dangerous for you. It'll cause you cancer. It's a con. Think of it as a conspiracy. They're out just to take your money. It's a ripoff. Yeah. That's where this man comes from. Yeah. So we really are in a really, 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 really bad situation as far as Earth. By the year 2050, and we know poverty as it exists today, yeah. But if we don't turn things around in the proper way, which is minimalism, no coal, no fuel whatsoever that comes out of the ground that's being produced that creates more greenhouse effect. Yeah. None of that. All that shut down. It has to be shut down quickly. Yeah. Because by the time we get down to 2050, and most of you won't be alive, some of you will be alive, yeah, but you're going to reincarnate. And your children are going to be there, and your grandchildren are going to be there. And where they're going to be is in a horrendous scenario. All of Florida is going to be gone. Yeah? The inner side, coming off the ocean into Chicago and going into New York and along all coastlines, islands will be less island than they are today. Some islands are completely being isolated. People are being taken off them because they simply cannot trust the ocean to go up any higher. A bad weather would wipe out the entire people who live on those islands. And it didn't used to be that way 15, 20 years ago. It was kind of like normal living. Yeah. So by the time we get down to 2050, the amount of poverty, the amount of lack of ability to have housing, to have farming, yeah, to be able to grow anything, yeah, to catch up on trees. By the time, if we get to a certain point, the trees won't grow after we put them in because we won't have the water to get them to grow. You got to do this before it gets too late. Yeah? And we're at a point where it's almost too late. Yeah? We can't put back the Amazon. We can't throw back all the trees. You know? We're trying, but it's difficult. What we have to do is change our lifestyle. Dramatically. Change our lifestyle. Each individual change their lifestyle. Yeah? And move toward a knowing that this is real. This is not don't be a denier that this is coming down, because you're going to reincarnate, and you're going to reincarnate into a very hot, hostile planet. And as time goes on, there's not going to be, the only people who's going to be happy are the people who have air conditioner and make $50,000 a month to pay for all that extra utility and extra security and extra whatever it takes for them to remain being rich, as the masses of humanity can't afford it. Because we didn't go forward with solar on every housetop and batteries in every house, making everybody sustainable on their own. We have to do that. We can't just get away and have just electric cars. We got to go really far into this process. Yeah. We can't eat at restaurants. Yeah. Every time you eat at a restaurant, every time you go into a restaurant, you're taking all the fuel they take to run that restaurant, all the gas it takes to get that restaurant cooking, where you could be at home in your solar home with an induction stove and not polluting the earth. But you go to restaurants, you might as well be out running around cutting trees down, wiping out the forest and wiping out oxygen for the future. It's one of the fastest ways to wipe away in an evening, by masses of people going out to eat. Masses of people go and have pizza. Masses of people go to Burger King. All these people have their pilots on all the way, gas flowing fast and hard. Yeah. Then you got imagine we're going to run out of water. California's already ran out of water. We don't have, in the basin, we used to have the largest aquifer. It's an underground lake. And above that, we used to have a lake. Just 100 years ago, just back behind San Francisco, and go around into the Sacramento Valley and Rio Vista and all that, used to be the largest lake of the United States. The largest lake. Yeah? And there's no lake there anymore. And then it turned into an aquifer. Yeah? Because we drained that water out of there, and what was on top seeped down below. And it continued flowing. But then we did all the almonds and all the vegetables and everything you can think of, that we wanted to grow in a place where there's no water other than water in the ground. And now there's no water in those grounds. And they want to pump it from some other place and bring it in. Keep it going, keep that lifestyle going. It's just going to drain everything else up. And we're not taking care of what we need to do. We need to change our lifestyle. We need to know these things are happening. We need to choose not to buy those things. Yeah. We need to not support them. Yeah. Because it's just like we elected Trump. Okay, now we are supporting him. We bought into his bullshit. And it's all a lot of bullshit. A lot of wasted energy, a lot of your wasted time. And if we don't fix this, you're going to be forced into fixing it. Forced into it. It's horrifying, to be forced into it when you're so poor and you're kicked out of your house, you're kicked out of your apartment, your economy goes just like today. You have no idea viruses are coming. You have no idea that, the economy is going to go down the tubes. You're not going to have a job. One minute you do, next minute you don't. Now there's millions and millions and millions and millions of you trying to get a job, and millions and millions and millions and millions, even more, are sitting in cars 5 miles long in line at 2 o'clock in the morning trying to get boxes of food in the back of your trunk. That's America today. All across America, no matter where you're at. We live from food banks. That's how we're getting through. Yet we've never learned about taking care of the poor. We never learned about dealing with any of this. Now we're forced to increase food bank reality and make it possible. And that's all done by God. Because it's a service that's necessary. It's not something that Trump is thinking, hey, let's build on more food banks. Let's give more, food stamps to people. Let's make sure that their hospitalization, their insurance, and nothing gets cut away. Make sure they have extra going on. Let's give them some benefits. None of that is going on with that guy. None of it. He wants to take away your food stamps at this time. Yeah? He wants to cut health so that your insurance drops by 20 million people can lose their insurance if his bill gets passed. He's doing all this before he gets out of office. Yeah? And he just finished. Let me show you this one.
To protect American workers, I withdrew the United States from the unfair and one-sided Paris Climate Accord, a very unfair act for the United States. The Paris Accord was not designed to save the environment. It was designed to kill the American economy. I refuse to surrender millions of American jobs and send trillions of American dollars to the world's worst polluters and environmental offenders, and that's what would have happened. Since withdrawing from the Paris Accord, the United States has reduced carbon emissions more than any nation anywhere in the world. Our air is 7% cleaner than when I took office. At the same time, we've made America energy independent. Bolstered by our historic tax and regulatory cuts, the United States is now the #1 producer of oil and natural gas in the world. American free enterprise.
And he's proud of it. Yeah? In his mind, this is energy independent. Yeah? This is as it has been in the past, so shall it be in the future. And he's getting A's on that old bad idea process that we've been doing for a long time. We were bought in, the oil companies and everything. He's a real estate agent. He claims to be a billionaire. When you're on that level, who's your friends? Who you gonna take care of? Yourself and your friends. The people who pay you money big time. Back and forth. That particular level of economy is important to him. And he knows coal and gas and oil and all of that is what he believes to be our economy. Yeah. And building gas cars and, keeping that going so that we can go out and get more gas, and turn on more electricity, go ahead and get more coal. Yeah. And don't worry about putting in solar or wind or alternatives to get rid of the need for that coal. Because come to find out, it's 1/10 the price of coal. The efficiency of solar or wind is 1/10 the price of coal. So it really takes a bad business person to consider, well, that's fine. I'll pay 90% more for energy when I could be paying, only 10% of that. Just imagine how all of California would benefit from that. Or how about all the other states? How much they would benefit. How trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars would go back into education and things like that. But no, we have to maintain a contract with the oil company and keep people in these non-paying jobs that kill them, and pollute the earth, all for the means of the fact that we have this going on. It's our economy today. Why change it? You know? Why trust a new technology? Yeah? Why trust a more advanced thing that would cost us less and gain more energy and be much more efficient? Why trust that? This man is full of fear. He's a liar. Yeah? And when you're a liar, you really believe someone's going to catch you one day. Yeah? And you could tell it that this guy has got that big time. Yeah? He just knows that if he gets out of the office, you know, if he hadn't gotten into the office, he would have gone to prison. Yeah? So it's the only thing that kept him out of slander of raping women and, you know, embarrassing his wife over the 2 prostitutes that he was having sex with over that time, just before he got into office. And then a little kid that he raped. Yeah? And the 7 other children that he raped. Yeah? And women that he has raped. And 50 or more women that he has molested. Oh, you can just grab them any way you want. Imagine. Every time he sees a woman, if he feels like it, he's going to do it. That's got to be thousands of women who's been molested by him just by being in his vicinity. Yeah? I mean, he bought, you know, the beauty pageant so that he had the ability to go in behind the scene where all the women were nude and he could walk around amongst them and not be told to leave. And he was able to grope them, kiss them, do whatever he wanted by the time he got out of there. And he was having a great time. Yeah? Because we do not have the heart, the strength to stand up for those women. There should have been someone there strong and say, get that man out of here. No man is in here. Yeah? This is a woman's room where women are doing their clothing and everything. No man belongs in here. Not even a gay man belongs in here. It's just right. It's human right. You should stand up for that for other men or women. No woman should be in here, you know, when I'm going to the bathroom. Are you kidding me? And it shouldn't be the person being offended. Someone else should stand up because you're being offended. You're not in a position to stand up. You're being offended. And yet we're not in a world where we stand up for our fellow man. We don't do that. Yeah? It's just bullshit. Yeah? Because we get Trump. Yeah? We're slow in the process of getting solar. We're slow in the process of getting the things that are right there as opportunities for us. And we actually almost voted Trump back in. Yeah? Very close. That was really close, people. And he's trying to do a coup, you know, so he can throw out a whole bunch of black people's votes that he found in Michigan and Georgia and a few other places where there are a community of large numbers of black people. Yeah, let me show you. Nice little thing he did.
As I understand it, the lawsuit is designed to prevent folk from misusing the vote in the election of Wayne County folk, in particular people in Detroit, and not to delay, not certify the right of the people.
That lawsuit Detroit NAACP President Wendell Anthony is talking about is 18 pages long, now filed in the United States District Court for the District of Columbia. The plaintiffs, several local Detroit voters, along with the Michigan Welfare Rights Organization. They are suing Donald Trump and his campaign, claiming they're trying to disenfranchise black voters by trying to block the certification of votes in Wayne County.
How are you going to extract Wayne County out of Michigan? Aren't we a part of Michigan?
Now that's a question Reverend Wendell Anthony says the NAACP is trying to figure out. That's why they hired a team of lawyers to make sure that does not happen.
And so we're preparing in case things don't go right, that we coming strong.
Anthony says Trump is doing everything he can to stay in office, like reaching out to local Republicans prior to Monday's state board canvassers meeting to certify Michigan's votes.
Let me call some legislators to the White House, i.e. Shirky and Chatsfield from Michigan. Let them stay at the Trump Hotel, and let's see if we can somehow decertify or get them to slow this process down.
Reverend Anthony says he believes that no matter what, there will be a new president and vice president sworn into office January 20th.
Let the will of the people go forward. The people in Michigan, the people in Wisconsin, the people in Philadelphia, the people in Georgia, the people in Minnesota and elsewhere, we have spoken. We fired Donald Trump.
That's right. Yeah. And, you know, where are these people? You know, this is a rare event. And this happens to be a minister, you know, who's simply trying to stand up for people's human rights, you know, and he's black and he knows that this is happening and it's a race thing. Yeah. And it's happening in really big ways, in ridiculous ways. Yeah. You know, so the biggest one that we have to look out for is the fact that what's creeping on us is ecology. Yeah. It really is going to be our doomsday. Yeah. You know, it will take hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years to restore the planet to a functional planet. Hundreds and hundreds of years. And we'll have maybe half, if not 1/3 the number of the population of the planet by the time we get to that point, to where we're going to fuse together, you know, as a collective, and get smarter, get more educated, and move ourselves to more alternatives that we know that will work, you know, and take advantage of that and change our lifestyles dramatically. Get rid of all these big industries and things like that rule the earth, whether it be cattle industries or housing industries or any industry. Yeah, you need to look at them. You need to see whether or not they are the value for society, and how much are they polluting? How much are they harming? Yeah, can we put any control on anything? Yeah, do we have to let everything happen because people just want it to happen? You know, and if you're a corporation, you become a corporation because you don't want to end up with responsibility as an individual. So you incorporate. That way you can violate all kinds of things. You know, human rights, health, you know, the ability to pay off a bill. No, your corporation's responsible for that, not me. Yeah. It's been going on a long time. Yeah. And we need to have a better understanding as to what really is ripping us off. And people shouldn't have just an immediate right to do a lot of what they think they're doing on big corporate levels. Big corporate levels. Yeah. Without it being something that is going to pay back for the amount of pollution they're putting into it. Are they going to counteract that pollution? Are they going to employ people at a right level? Yeah. Are they going to be good for humanity, good for society, good for the local area? Yeah? If not, then it shouldn't be done, because they're only going to usurp it, you know? Amazon or somebody else will come in and we'll have no more mom and pop businesses. We'll have no more people doing anything for maybe 50 or 60 years until we realize, you know, Target and all these big stores, I like people more than I like getting a good deal. You know, and we realize, you know, 9/10 of this shit here is coming from China and Taiwan and other places where children are putting together at a very low price. And it's heartless from the moment it's been made to the time it gets to me. And I'm buying it in a heartless state without any of that understanding. You know, and you can't stand up and do the right thing unless you know what you're doing. You got to know what you're doing. You have to learn, discern, and discriminate. Now, the hard way to do this is to have the whole world be destroyed. And it has to be pushed in your face, day to day. And you have to go through nervous breakdowns, you know, because it's hard for you to get rid of your pickup truck. It's hard for you to not, you know, go through the big life that you may have, and having football every year and having baseball every year and all the things you think are important. Yeah, but in reality, it is. We only have so much Yeah, imagine it, the elements in life, water, yeah, minerals, you know. We eat animals. Well, how much animals do we need to eat? Is there any way we might be able to take care of 2/3 of what we put in our mouth to be something that we grow, you know, something that we raise, you know, so we're not, you know, dependent upon having to have an industry that we're blind to what it's going into it. Today we have pigs that are being grown in America with really bad products going into them, you know, just so that they will be leaner, yeah. Another one so that they'll be fatter, yeah. And it's not just antibiotics, it's other things that are very bad for you. Now, most countries, including China, really doesn't want it, yeah. So the outskirts of China, where they have more laws and more people say that we don't want that, like Europe and Taiwan and other areas along that, yeah, they have laws against American pig, you know, because we sell a very volatile, dangerous, unhealthy product all over America, and we sell it anywhere else. Anybody else will buy it, and we have no. And we say that the standards of China are worse than us, and they're not. They're not. We just have no idea what's true. We just assume. People gossip too much. They waste their time in their mind. They don't learn to meditate. Yeah. You have to become much more, you know, the open-minded ability to learn new things all the time and find out that it's better to let go than to continue on with something that is not good for you or your environment or anybody you know. And then you could share that with people, and we can move a lot faster in this. Yeah? It's through lifestyle changes and then education from your own wisdom, development from your own wisdom, that keeps us from following a Trump. Yeah? Because if you have wisdom, if you develop your own wisdom, when people lie to you, you have the strength and the courage to look it up and see whether or not they're telling the truth, because you're responsible for not carrying on an illusion. You know, the more wise you get, the more aware you are that life is an illusion, and you have to get discernment and discrimination, because people are not that clear, and they say things that are an exaggeration or even a deterioration of what is true. Neither side is real. You know, it doesn't give you a sound ground to actually walk on and look at life on. You know, you need the truth. Yeah. That's the only way you're going to get through this. And to get through the truth, you have to develop your heart. Yeah. And the heart, you know, to get through the heart, you got to be willing to take it the hardest road. Yeah. You have to be willing to, you know, like let go of many, many things, you know, and make things in the right perspective, you know, and hold together that right perspective so that you have a sense of discernment and discrimination. That's hard to do in a world like this. Yeah. So one of the keys that I know of is in lifestyle, you know, be aware of the fact that, you know, a lot of what is expressed, a lot of what people try and get people to believe in, you know, is much more personal, you know, than it is real. Yeah. So when we get into our normal life, when we go out to buy anything or do anything, you must use the quality of discernment and discrimination. Yeah. You have to choose. Yeah. You have to choose. Like if you were to be willing to, oh, I don't know, I'm going to go out and eat at a restaurant, you know, because these are opportunities. Now, if you don't use discernment and discrimination, those opportunities, which are lifestyle temptations, yeah, temptations, yeah, and all those temptations are built on habit. So you have a knee-jerk response, and they know this knee-jerk response, and they sell it to you, yeah. Fast food or burger, everybody loves a burger, so there's a lot of burger places. People like Chinese, so there's Chinese places. Yeah. If we stop liking them, they won't be there. Yeah. If we make our own burgers, yeah. if we do our own cooking, yeah, then we'll have a lot less waste, yeah, and we'll eat things that we know what's in it, yeah. We'll make choices behind what's in it, yeah. And if you choose to have beef, you can contact a local person, yeah, that's raising yak or raising buffalo or raising grass-fed beef, and find out when they do their butchering, you know, and when that is available, and set up a time for pick up a good amount, put it away, you know, and you get it a lot cheaper, a lot fresher, a lot healthier, and you're staying within sustainability locally. That's so important. We'll find as we get through this thing 100, 200 years down the road, we'll find that local sustainability is the lifestyle of America. It's the lifestyle of America. And that we, as we grow into our local sustainability, we cut down an enormous amount of transportation needs in order to send potatoes all the way across from Idaho or Michigan or whatever. You know, when in our backyard, we're growing a whole year full of potatoes, and they're so succulent and delicious, you know, and we experiment, you know, oh, I think I'm going to try that this year, you know, and da-da-da. Life is so much more beautiful when you have the correct lifestyle. It's designed that way, yeah. We're designed to be gardeners, yeah. We're designed, you know, we're made to be caretakers of Earth. And to do that, we have to take care of animals, yeah, yeah, animal husbandry, yeah. If we want a family, it's husbandry, householdership, yeah. If we have a land, which has to be at least an acre, we have a garden, we have our own water, yeah. It comes in from the rain, yeah. We recycle it. We take a shower, we recycle it, it goes back into the tank, goes to the toilet, used several times, yeah. So we use 1/10 the water we would have ever used many years before, and it becomes our nature, our norm, yeah, because we're getting not so much back to nature, but we're becoming one with nature, yeah. The house we're in, we even love living where we're living. It's like we're on vacation 24/7, you know. We choose to live near a lake, yeah, because nature pushes us to do that, yeah. Live within 20 miles of a lake. And there's so many lakes in the United States. And if we do this right, we'll build more forestry, we'll create more lakes, yeah, the rain will collect, we will have clear sky, yeah, we'll be an abundant nation, abundant, independently, not by wealth or riches or material possessions, yeah, but by being with nature and having everything we need because we know what we need to fix it, yeah. And we're living in a world to where we can maintain this sort of thing. Yeah. Yeah. You know, so we've got to do this way before 2050. We have to do this. We have to do this by 2025. 2025. Yeah. And that is near impossible if you had Trump in there, but you don't. You have Biden in there. And as of January 20th, you're not going to have a Trump. It's over with. Done and over with. And then comes Biden, and an enormous number of things are going to start going into action. Yeah. And at the same time, I'm going to start externalizing. Yeah. So I'm going to get on this bandwagon, yeah, of teaching people about this lifestyle situation and the dangers humanity is in, and how we have to take care of our life because we reincarnate. Not just for the grandchildren, not just for our children, not just for the thought of humanity, but let's get it right down to your soul. You're coming back. And you're coming back to a place that you left behind. Yeah? And it's going to be horrifying. And it's your fault. Yeah? Yeah? And it's going to continue being your fault because you're the caretakers of Earth. You can blame God all you want. You can blame evil all you want. But until you get to the point of discernment and discrimination led by Christ, yeah, this thing won't come clear. Yeah, so we're at the very edge of demise. Yeah, we're at the very edge of, you know, this is a wasteland. Yeah, more deserts, oceans growing, you know, people starving, Yeah, enormous forest fires. You've seen them in California. Imagine that through the year 2035. Make that about 50 times more fires all throughout the United States. Yeah, because of dry lands and the lack of water and the type of rain that comes with lightning and everything starts these fires. Yeah, so there's nothing we could do other than change the environment. Yeah. Recycle the events by our having a proper lifestyle. Yeah. And then spend a lot of time planting trees. I started in 1973, I started as an ecologist, began. And by the time I was done, which is around 1977, I wrote a paper. I don't know where it's at, but I wrote this paper. And it was my grand design for the outcome of humanity when they finally figure out what they have to do in order to maintain life, to sustain life. Yeah? Yeah, it's not about economy, it's not about this or that, but sustaining life. Once you've been wiped out and you have a second chance of coming back, you probably start off by trying to sustain life rather than build up more industry and build up more greed, and just watch it all dwindle. Consciousness will do that. It will be an environmental process in ourselves, but we could do it quicker and much easier. So I laid out this thing where evolution will come to where all of us will be given land, yeah, and we're caretakers of the land. And what we learn from childhood, we learn how to go out into the land and do deforestation to forestation, yeah. It's clearing, yeah, taking out old trees, yeah, putting in new trees, yeah, setting up a good, agricultural nature, yeah, and then you go back in, as time goes on, your job is to take care of your forest, maybe an acre, but you have to make sure all the trees are clear, all the trees go back in, and then you go in and you start checking out where the mushrooms are at, yeah, and where the little lettuce is at, yeah, and where the herbs are at, yeah. And you learn this. Yeah, it becomes a natural part. Native Indians did this naturally to create long life and a connection to the earth. Yeah. So if we add this into our life, because we don't need industries to grow herbs when we're going to go into an evolution where we're natural healers, and we need fresh herbs that are taken right out, and in proper time of the month, to where it really does have the proper amount of right energy, because there's a recycle, an energy. You don't just rip a plant out, The energy changes in that plant if you don't do it right, And it's really good if you do it as an offering, knowing that the plant is offering itself to you. It grew to this point. Now's the day it needs to be plucked. And that's when you go out and you do that sort of thing, yeah? So in the future, we'll be aware of that. We'll be aware of how our animals live and what we need in order to sustain our lives, and how we maintain water in order to sustain our lives, yeah? How water comes out of the air, yeah? In order to wash our body and everything else. It's evaporated in a little machine that in the future will cost you nothing. But it'll evaporate and give you 20, 30, 40 gallons of water a day. And it'll clean the oxygen, clean the air, and add a less humid-like situation into the air. Yeah? So you'll have less mold in your house. You'll have all these different things will be better. But out of it, you'll get water. And we don't even think about that today. Where we could have all of our water, from just taking it out of the air. Yeah? So there's an enormous amount of technology, all this free. Yeah, put all this together. You put it together with solar and wind, and you put it together with, taking air and using that to capture water, and putting that to the side. Have animals who have babies, and those babies grow, and you go through this process of cycle, recycle. Yeah, and it's a natural, sustainable life. And it helps us really become one in our heart, in relationship to life. So when we take our next life, we come back and we become more spiritually evolved now that we've grounded out what we're supposed to do in our physical body. Yeah, because until we get that kind of straightened out in a really big way, we really aren't going to attain higher spiritual qualities and characteristics. Yeah, healing abilities, masterful qualities. Yeah, and that's not just from hiding in a cave or sitting in a monastery and all that. It's from healing the planet. Yeah, and helping everyone become sustainable in a right lifestyle. Yeah, that's a bodhisattva, Buddha nature, bodhisattva quality that is in everybody. Yeah, and we're all going to evolve, but we have to take on the responsibility of the caretakers of Earth and take it fully. You know, don't just grab all the plastic bags and holler at people for using them, you know, but just don't use them. You know, bring your own bag, do your thing. Do all your own thing without, you know, using your sixth ray to tell people what to do. Use your second ray by being a way shower. Yeah? And it'll work like a rocket ship. You know, you will move through this thing so correctly and so smoothly and benefit so much from it that people will see you as an archetype, see you as someone that they would like to learn from. Yeah, and it becomes the world of education and teaching, and we all become teachers. We all become helping other people learn from what we've learned from. Sure, I'll share with you, you know, and we grow really quick. We don't need the schools that you think we need. We don't need all the things that we have set up, you know. It's much easier, much easier, and it'll get that way. But we don't need to get that way in the year 2050 when things are so terrible that we can't turn it around for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. So all we can do is isolate ourselves in the environment and try and sustain ourselves in our environment and find places that will give us the best sustainable environment. Yeah, you can't live in the desert at 120. Yeah, you got to move out of there. You can't live in Mississippi when the water's up over your head. You got to move out of there. You can't live in Florida when there is no more Florida. Yeah, you got to move out of there. You can't live in places where tornadoes are even worse this year. You've got to learn to move. Yeah, and that shouldn't take that long, but it does in this place. People are solar plex oriented, you know, and they're steadfast stuck with I am my mom's mom and my dad, I'm his son, and we are so much alike, and all this crap, you know. And that affects our ability to move towards sustainability, yeah. Because we'll follow another Trump. If another person comes up with more conspiracies without me stepping out and help people really straighten this out on a large level, you know, on a large level, you know, not just me talking to people on YouTube, but me traveling all over the world and talking with leaders and helping them understand, going into the UN and talking with people in the UN, you know, talking with people in Congress, talk to people in Senate. That's what I'm going to be doing, yeah? So it's going to be furthering. It doesn't matter if you're a Republican or a Democrat. Your ass better grow up, yeah? None of this matters. You know, you have to grow up. You have to grow up now, yeah? And your next day is going to be harder. You're going to have emotional problems. You're going to have real problems coming in on a person when the Holy Spirit comes to make people wise, yeah? And if you choose evil, if you choose that negative contract, you know, that goes with dark forces that come from the past with the left-hand spin, you're going to suffer, yeah? You could die from it. You can get diseases from it. You can have accidents from it. It's going to come more and more as the light comes into this situation. People carrying the dark are going to have bad karma. And just like, look at Trump, pretty bad karma. That's because of me. There's no karma unless there's the Lord of karma. Yeah? Unless the influence of the light has the right spin to it. It allows the left to be subjected to the fact that it does not know. It's not a knowing thing. And they can't manipulate people simply because they can lie and get away with it. Getting away with it doesn't happen anymore. Yeah? When the right spin comes in strong, it becomes a law of love. And justice begins happening, and karma comes down, and it really gets pretty violent. Yeah? It's not war or anything like that. It's very individual. Yeah? It's very much those people that are going to cause really bad suffering in the future will go through many events that will keep them from carrying out that process, and the future will stay clear. Yeah? And that is a complete spiritual process for humanity. And the only way we can increase that is by people choosing the lifestyle that allows them to be a minimalist, allows them to realize Trump is a liar, and all the things that are out there to realize. If you can see those things, you're more protected than most people. Yeah. And then you're probably aligned to getting an electric car, and aligned to having solar, and aligned to not having a full-time job. Things of that nature. Yeah. So it's quite a process. This guy he's got a coup going on right now. And he's got lawyers making up stuff that are just amazing. And we won't get to really witness most of it until it comes out in movies and books and things like that over the next 3 or 4 years, as he led into whatever circumstance of karma he's going to go into. And we're all going to learn that, being, even though you're rich, doesn't mean you don't go to jail. Doesn't mean you got a free card. He's been living this for a long time. That means that a whole lot of people that are illegal continue being illegal because he's illegal and getting away with it. The key to making laws happen correctly is that all laws are straight across the board. It doesn't matter if you're white or black or you're famous or you have a lot of money or anything like that. It's the facts. And if the facts show that you raped somebody or you stole $100 million from a group of people in New York, and then we can pull out 5 or 10 or 20 other files of the same case, if you can't really come to grips with those things, then you support that lawlessness. And that means that corruption will go on behind the scene, and people, on every level will live that process for a longer period of time. But that's not going to happen. Watch. Watch. My externalization of mine doesn't get to come until after the Antichrist has been judged and shown to humanity who he is. Because right now, people who voted for him thinks that he's the reincarnation of Jesus Christ. They really do. That's in books. That is a pledge by the religious order that put him in. They all said they had visions, seeing him next to the throne seat of God. And we all know that's where Jesus sits. So Trump, no longer by Jesus, in Trump, well, that would be the Antichrist. And that God isn't God. That would be Satan. And the seat that they're looking at is a relationship of hell and a vision. And none of those people are actual priests for Jesus Christ. They're priests, but not priests for Jesus Christ. For somebody, but not Jesus Christ. And they don't really know Satan that well because they serve Satan, and many of them have gone to prison for that process. All the way Catholic Church, you name it. This is not a holy group of people. So the chances of them having a vision from God in relationship to Jesus is not too good. But a chance of them having a vision of Satan in the form of God and the Antichrist in the form of Trump in the impression of the reincarnation of Jesus, and they accept that sort of thing, that shit happens. And it's in books. So it's going to be part of this really great movie of the Antichrist. And how close it was for all of you to not lose your loved ones, lose your soul, lose yourself, lose your planet for thousands of years. Thousands of years. And it's not like the planet's going to blow up. It's just that the planet freaking dies. I'm going to show you one more thing, and then we're going to pray. We need to pray, I'm telling you.
There is no longer any doubt that human activity has drastically affected the rate of climate change, and we have mountains of peer-reviewed evidence to prove it. If you're one of the people who believes climate change is a hoax, just consider who would benefit from you believing that lie. Fossil fuel advocates, special interest groups, and members of the current US and foreign governments who are heavily dependent on the fossil fuel industry for donations. They are selling your future and your children's future for a quick buck. Look at the evidence, do your research. This shouldn't be controversial. Every single person on Earth, regardless of political leaning or beliefs, would benefit from the actions recommended by the IPCC report. With that out of the way, let's look at the report in question. First of all, what is the IPCC? The IPCC is the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. Founded in 1988, the IPCC is an intergovernmental body of the United Nations, tasked with providing the world with an objective, scientific view of climate change and its various impacts. One thing to understand about the IPCC is that it doesn't conduct climate studies itself. Rather, it assesses published works from thousands of individuals and groups worldwide. These thousands of scientists contribute to the body of data on a voluntary basis, meaning none of them receive payments from any outside special interest group. When the IPCC is ready to issue a report, which includes a summary for global policymakers, the document is subjected to a line-by-line approval by delegates from each participating government, usually including the governments of more than 120 countries. The IPCC is the internationally accepted authority on climate change, and its reports have the agreement of leading climate scientists and each participating government. So, in short, when the IPCC issues a report, the world knows it's the real deal. That brings us to the 2018 report. You can find a link to the full document in the description below. Its full title is really long, so for the sake of brevity, we'll refer to it as SR15 or the report. The document itself is massive. The technical summary alone is 25 pages long. The entire thing cites 6,000 scientific reports. The summary for policymakers is much more palatable, at just over 30 pages long. In it, we get what's essentially a SparkNotes version of perhaps the direst warning the world has ever received. In short, we have 12 years to drastically change the course of our future. We've already passed the point of no return to keep global temperatures below around 1 degree Celsius warmer than pre-industrial levels. The race now is to keep it from exceeding 1.5. Even half a degree's difference could make for catastrophic changes around the world. This is the part where people usually get confused. What difference does 1.5 degrees make? I get it. I live in Texas, where it can be 40 degrees in the morning and 85 by noon. But consider places where the temperature is more or less stable. Take the Arctic, or Greenland, for example. Greenland is covered by a massive ice sheet that's kilometers thick in some places. In the summer, much of this ice is just barely staying frozen, and some places have even started melting. Now crank up the temperature a couple degrees Celsius. If that's enough to start a runaway melt, and the entire ice sheet melted, the sea level, on average, would rise by 7 meters. Imagine your favorite beach, underwater, coastal property destroyed, entire islands and huge amounts of coastline submerged, and the millions of inhabitants forced to move elsewhere. You think your country has an immigrant problem now? Just wait until entire island nations are destroyed by the rising seas. And don't think the United States is exempt from these effects. Florida is particularly susceptible to even a small increase in sea level. Besides a third of the state potentially going under, all of its barrier islands would be well below sea level, and with them goes any protection from hurricanes. An already hard-hit state would become ground zero of increasingly powerful hurricanes. But this is all speculation, right? No one knows for sure just how many Floridians will be going for a dip in the near future. Well, SR15 has some hard numbers for us. The disparity in negative impacts between 1.5 degrees of warming and 2 degrees is truly shocking. At 1.5 degrees, 6% of insects, 8% of plants, and 4% of vertebrates will lose over half of their natural geographic range. At 2 degrees, those numbers increase to 18% of insects, 16% of plants, and 8% of vertebrates.
That's a lot. Yeah, just don't let this kind of like go by. This is really big, important stuff, proven to be true, very serious. 8% of all the vertebrate animals gone. 8%, yeah? 16% of all plants gone. yeah, and 18% of insects, which means a very fast deterioration of all fruits, vegetables, things of that nature, yeah, that require for our sustenance, yeah. It's almost like we're going to have to live as though we're on Mars in an uninhabitable situation, yeah. We should not be getting to that, yeah, and we're going there. It's not good.
1.5 degrees is projected to destroy 90% of what remains of the world's coral reefs. 2 degrees is expected to wipe them out entirely, completely destroying one of the ocean's richest ecosystems. At 1.5 degrees of warming, we can expect to see a completely ice-free Arctic summer once every century. At 2 degrees, once every decade. Global annual catch rate for marine fisheries will drop by 1.5 million tons at 1.5 degrees, and by 3 million tons at 2 degrees. These figures go on, and each one could potentially trigger an avalanche of other negative effects. And we haven't even looked at the consequences for human life. It shouldn't be a surprise that the populations that will suffer the most will be the poorer and less developed countries, and those in fragile ecosystems, such as in agricultural or coastal areas. If we could limit the maximum global temperature increase to 1.5 degrees Celsius, it would drastically reduce the number of people thrust into poverty and heightened risk of climatic events by up to several 100 million by 2050.
Now, just like the coronavirus, we could have reduced it down to only 35,000, but it's 254,000 right now. And we will reach 1 million. Yeah, 1 million. That's insane. It's insane. Simply because people have been trained to behave like Trump. So we have half the United States that are going to go against using, no matter what we say, using the mass and preventing the situation. So it will keep growing in herd immunity scenario because of their training, yeah, being taught by the Antichrist how to continue killing people without knowing that that's what they're doing. They're led, you know, into continuing that process. So it will go to as much as 1 million. That's a lot of people, and that's over a 15, imagine I'm saying 15 years we're dealing with the coronavirus. We thought we'd get over it like a flu, you know? You get over those things in a month, 2 months, 3 months. Well, going on a year now. And it's nowhere near done. It's coming back. You get it, it comes back. It keeps coming back. Yeah? So for this to last many, many, many years, since we didn't take care of it correctly, yeah, then it's a matter of lifestyle. If the people are trained to be selfish, ignorant, violent, aggressive people who just simply don't believe in the truth, can't handle it because it affects them too aggressively, because they would have to literally stop believing in one thing in order to believe in something else, which means they have power. You have power. That's the something else. We have power. We have the ability to stop it from getting worse. We have power. But what we could do is nothing. Disempower ourselves. You know, oh, I won't put the mask on because it won't make any difference. Yeah, I'll just deny it even exists. You know, yeah, because I have no power to realize it does exist. Even though it's obvious, there's people, probably even people I know, who've died of it. But I have no power to realize it exists. That's disempowering. That's disempowering, yeah. And that is all the way through the entire makeup of the nature of the human being. It's a very volatile scenario, this solar plex, and the fact that we are disempowered, yeah. And because we're disempowered, we can be led to work 24 hours a day, led to think that we have to do these things in a capitalistic world because we're disempowered. If you look at that capitalistic reality, all the poor people on the bottom holding up all the rich people on the top, they're not empowered down there. It's by them being disempowered that they're empowered up here. And they get all the money from down here by not giving them money. They save money by not giving them money. making sure that they do not have labor unions, making sure they do not have proper housing, making sure they do not work for themselves. You got to do everything you can to make sure they don't work for themselves. Because you got to raise the cost of living up so high so that if you was to try and work for yourself, you couldn't live within the cost of living. You would have to over-exaggerate your value to meet the cost of living. So it's set up, yeah, to where you need to fall in line and just join in, take a job, you know, move into an apartment with a stranger, because you can't afford it. That's what most people do. Either they're on the street or they're sharing an apartment or a house, a very cheap house. Yeah. And that's not a happy day. Nobody likes that. Nobody likes that at all. Yeah. But we're in this system, the one that I've been telling you about the last few times I've been teaching. The fact that we bought into capitalism. Yeah. We have a capitalist president who's ushering in absolute destruction on the United States. And everything that we have worked toward, we're right at the edge of really doing the right thing. If we hadn't elected him 4 years ago, we would be very likely in a very different scenario in relationship to ecology, advancements of much more solar, cutting out of much more coal, cutting out of much more oil. Yeah? Making it enormous. And if the virus comes, we would have done something about it so quick. Yeah? Because it would have been the same group that was previous president, and the book would have popped out, and we would all know exactly what the pre-planned organized situation is. Yeah? But this guy hated the previous president. So anything had to do with that, he had to throw away. Yeah? Yeah. And he's a man of denial. He denies the ecological process that's going on in the world. He denies the coronavirus. He denies the fact that he lost his election. He's a man of denial. Denial, people. If you could at least study a little psychology, it would help a lot for me to help you. You need to study sociology, anthropology, psychology, ecology. You need to study those things so that you get a better understanding of nutty people, imbalanced people, that it's not abnormal. Yeah? Yeah? And the whole process of a lot of what we're going through is the fact that we've made very abnormal reality normal. We make homosexuality normal. We make the relationship of there being people who could choose from childhood on to change their gender in every way, any way we want, normal. Cutting every cord to us being able to investigate and research and help these people. If it's good, we'll find out, but at least let's do the research. And look at it, and if you do, you'll find out the great deal of the people who have their sexual organs changed, and put on breasts as a man and have all these things take place. 10 to 15 years later, they want to take it back. And there's not a thing they could do about it. Yeah? And the rest of their life is just this sham. And they live in a shell, that they can't do anything. This is common. It's common. It's after the fact. And we don't study it. We don't study the relationship of people with tattoos. What happens 20 or 30 years later when you come out when you're 18, you get your whole arm tattooed? What about 30 years later? Do you really want that tattoo in your arm? You really like looking into the mirror every time? Yeah? It really is the same view you get before? If it is, you're sick. You're sick. There's a lot of people that have psychological problems about body issue. Dysmorphia. Yeah? Yeah, you could be as skinny as could be, but see yourself as fat as could be. You could see yourself with beautiful hair, but you see yourself with no hair. Yeah? You can have no bald spot, or maybe a tiny little bit missing, but your whole freaking head is going bald. That's normal with people with anxiety problems. Their mind isn't right, and they should be understood. And we need more people to study. Yeah, I spent almost all my life studying so I could better understand us. And we all need to do the same. We all need to better understand and not just accept the easy road. Gay people show up, that must be good. Must be normal. Well, we don't know what to do with child molestation. We don't know what to do with all these things that are coming out from that one thing that we said, oh, it must be normal. Oh, really? Well, now we got to change our gender. Now we have to do all these things. Now we have to choose. Is this a homosexual thing, or is it a process of a person who's a pedophile? Is pedophilia a non-homosexual act? Yeah. Because they don't want to put it in the side of being homosexual. That there's something psychologically perverted in the person that draws them to have sex with little children. And could that be homosexuality? Yeah. And if they investigate it, they find out for sure it is. Without a doubt. And it's passed on. Yeah. Either in previous life or this particular life. And we need to help people. We're not going to help anybody. Yeah. If we're helping people to get another drink. Yeah. If we vote for people like Trump. Yeah. All we're doing is supporting them. We're supporting that lazy mind of us not studying enough and learning enough, way beyond our, like we get past 18 years old and we get out of high school and we think we're fully educated. Now we're on Twitter and we're really making up shit 24/7. Yeah, and we're not, all this, mind is going crazy. Yeah, where you could be putting it in to a little bit of research so that you can help people that that are suffering. Yeah, and not accept that they're just suffering. Yeah, yeah. It's in that way in all cases, whether it be animals or plants or everything. We need to learn more. And my process is to try and educate all those levels. Yeah, our lifestyle, our conditions, our circumstances, everything, because it all needs discernment and discrimination. We're all seeing the same movie. So if I can, in the future, more and more I can help, the more and more it will allow me to be your chakras. Yeah, because if I say this truth, I'm saying it only here to your brow. Yeah, and it's actually activating your heart. Yeah, but it allows you, if you listen to me and you listen to my pujas and things like that, it can take years. Yeah, and then one day you go, I actually can hear you now. I can hear what you just said. Before, I actually couldn't hear you. I listened, but I actually couldn't repeat it. If I tried, there'd be no way. Yeah, and that's because most people have a lazy mind. Yeah, and when that lazy mind receives from me, it means you've got to get yourself up to an educated level. You got to really listen. Yeah, you got to stay focused. You got to be awake. Yeah, you have to have an open heart. Yeah, and if the heart's closed, you can't hear me. You can't stay awake. You're so confused. You can't repeat a thing I said. Because the heart's not awake, and the heart is where all your activity comes from. Yeah, your ability to see things clearly, your ability to connect to any truth that I'm going to talk about. It's all going to be connected to your heart. Yeah, So for me to give my teaching, it activates the heart so that the heart can actually stand up for other people. Rather than fall in line. And just not. You might be able to see something, but what if you don't say something? And just sitting there and just keep going, sitting there, and the world burns up because you didn't say anything, I mean, you got a neighbor, you got someone you meet in the store, you got people like that, when you go to the store, why don't you drop $20 on the ground when you see a poor person? I do that all the time. Every time I go to the store, I always grab 20 here, 10 over here, 5 back here. As I'm walking around, I see a poor family. I drop $20 down. I walk up to them and says, "Oh, excuse me, is that yours?" Yeah, and they turn around. "No, it's not mine." "Well, it's not mine. It's got to be yours." "It is now." "Oh my God, thank you. Yeah, it's okay." You know. And then by the time I get to the cash register, I ask the cash register, "Do you have bags to give away to the homeless? Or do you have a place I can give money for the homeless?" Yeah. They say, "Yeah, but it's like $5 a bag." And I say, "Okay, I'll take 30 bags. And they're like, "What?" You know, and then they don't have time to be bagging up all those bags, which is what they normally would do. And I'd be standing there watching these bags get all filled up. And then I get, you know, a little tag saying I did that, you know. But I just would go, "No, just fill them up and give them away and skip the tags. You know, let's keep going." You know, but I do that every place I go. Yeah. And I get a little frustrated because I go to some places that have cans waiting for people to put canned food in. And what they do is they take their trash and they put it in there. They don't put canned food in there. That really gets me, you know. So I like rattle the can, ask someone if this is really for cans or trash. Yeah. But everybody's got to do that. Yeah. It's not about being aggravated or anything like that. But it's about being responsive and heartfelt, you know. So you need to carry a little extra money with you because there's going to be poor people around you. If you're going to go out, don't ignore it. Make the opportunity available. If you go to the store, make the opportunity available. Yeah. If you buy things, you know, make sure that you're reading every single thing because God is watching you. Yeah. And when you look at something under God's grace, you know, you're going to use the hard side of your heart. And you're going to actually read it, you know, not skim through it. "Oh, I see sugar. Okay, you know. Well, what if it has a lot of other shit in it? You know, you might want to witness that and maybe point that out to somebody because you know a lot of people eat this crap, you know. So the more you learn, the more you radiate. You know, and you have no idea how the world is changed by people walking into stores and discerning and discriminating and taking the time to read the label and make a discerning decision. Yeah, not a judgmental thing. "Oh, piece of crap, you know, hate these people, boycott that, you know, but just a discerning decision. Nope. And then God will lead you clearly to the best possible product you ever heard of, and you've fantasized it yourself. You know, "Oh, I wish I had macadamia nut and seeds and nut butter all mixed in one jar." And it's never been in a jar before, but when you go in and you look, there's a jar of macadamia nut and seeds and nut butter that all becomes part of your vision because God's doing shit that is on top of, you know, the next day, the next year, and it's all being done a year before, but it comes together in symmetry. You know, we have no idea God's degree of being able to complement our desire body when our desire body is in service to help other people, whether ourselves or then other people. But when you help yourself, you're helping others because you are the teacher. Yeah, always. You'll always be the teacher. You're either teaching people how to jump off a cliff and listen to lies and go into inertia and just be frustrated, you know, because you can't count, you know, on a person that just, you know, is so locked in on that sort of thing. So it makes people not trust each other, not want to be supported by each other, yeah. So it's really down to individuals being able to just, every time you go anywhere, you know, say you're going to go to a restaurant, just choose not to go. No, I will cook. And if you do that often enough, you actually find out that you're a pretty dang good cook, you know, and that you have a creative quality. You get better and better as you're doing it. You know, it takes a lot of time, you know, to actually learn that you're a good cook. Yeah. And then when you start discerning, discriminating, then you make choices of what it is you're going to eat, why you're going to eat that, and you're actually changing the degree of your lifestyle. You know, from an ignorant, mundane life that was just knee-jerks, trying to live what you had before when you were a kid, or what might have made you happy in a time of depression, or things like that. And we can't go by our life that way. Yeah? We need to use our discernment and discrimination so we can usher God into our life. Yeah? Because our life is controlled by God through the spirit of cooperation. Yeah? And if we choose to discern and discriminate, we are cooperating with lifting out of a negative situation that we need to fix into a positive situation that we've learned we need to change. Yeah? And if we do that, we're literally taking all the elements, all the insects, all the plants, all the animals that are going to be wasted in the next 50 years, we're rechanging their life. Because they're not going to be wasted. We're saving them. Yeah? We're saving the animals. We're saving the plants. We're saving the planet. Yeah? As long as you discern and discriminate on a day-to-day basis, you can't imagine how much this will add up. Yeah? And if you do that, everything, whether it be who we elect or what is the next process, but it'll change your growing ability to become a cooperative element of the Holy Spirit in life. So then you're going to want to know who really is going to be the next governor, who really is the next senator, who really is being elected around here, and what are their issues. And the more you become discerning, discriminating, the more you step into the government process. Because you're going to vote. You should vote. Yeah? And if you do vote, and you vote in discernment and discrimination. In other words, you know everything about this person and what their plans to do, and is it in right relationship to humanity? And if it's not, don't vote for them. Get rid of them. Yeah. And if we just have no understanding, we'll go to that ballot and we're going to choose only 3 or 4 people that we know, and the rest of them are going to go tick, click, 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 click. We have no idea. We're just going to vote for them because they're being asked for us to vote. And those people will get into office and they're not being elected through discernment and discrimination. And we're going to have a mess of a society. So we have to take our discernment and discrimination to our day-to-day lifestyle and move it in to our government. Yeah? And be educated. Yeah? Understand the relationship of discernment and discrimination. What is sociology? What is anthropology? What is the history of our planet? Yeah? What is the relationship that comes with psychology and someone you want to vote for? Yeah? And is there really evil? Is there really negative intention that comes out of people? The more you gather this information and realize, that you need to discern, discriminate, because it is a manipulative social process. Yeah? And you can make major differences if you raise yourself up into making choices of food, life, all of that, but then raise it up even higher as to who it is you're voting for. Yeah? And once we do that, you'll be amazed as to what degree are we influencing, many, many, many levels. Many, many, many levels. Yeah? Because our governing body isn't just the relationship of us having a president or us having Congress or things like that. It is representative of our enlightenment. Yeah? And if we choose discernment and discrimination and choose that we are responsible for all the changes that take place, and things are going to go real bad, so we have to make major changes. Yeah? And not just go along with, next Sunday I'll do the same thing I did last Sunday. No, you got to educate yourself a little more than you were last Sunday, So by the time you get to next Sunday, you'll know more about things than you did before. Because if you don't do that, you're probably, in a media thing or doing some other thing that isn't really building your brain cells to where you're gaining, a sense that I am learning something. Yeah? Because you can learn something new every day, every single day. You know, I do this thing to where, you know, Tara's around me all the time, so she's being educated on levels and circumstances she has no control of, you know, because I'm constantly going, hey, check this out, you know, check this out, you know, and then she's, whoa, what is that? Oh, that's really interesting, you know, but that has to go in now and filter through a whole bunch of things that had no course of direction. But do that for a year or two to someone, and all of a sudden they have understanding of areas that they had no idea that they could have had understanding of. And now they have less fear in the whole of everything. So when you talk about doing this or doing that, the first thing that comes up isn't like, well, I don't know, because that knee-jerk fear comes up. You know, but the more you become aware and the more you put into your experience of learning something new, you know, you actually have to destroy a fear to gain learning. You have to destroy it, yeah? And out of that, you know, comes self-esteem, self-worth, self-understanding, you know, a sense of being able to understand something. So like I said, you know, you could be taking these classes, you know, for years, but it's only in an evolutionary leap does it come to a point to where you go, oh, wow, shit, now I can hear what you're saying. And that's because all of this is lifestyle. And I'm slowly but surely helping gather change in lifestyle that comes from a really weird-ass place to a place that has to be, yeah. And there's very little that you know, school or any other place that you can put together that will prepare you for the changes you have to make, you know, the lifestyles you're going to have. So my thing is that I have to provide all these changes, have them come in right in front of you. And all of a sudden, you know, you got opportunities like massive cars and easy, inexpensive solar and all these different things that come up. And then you go online, you check diet, and you go, wow, they're fasting online. That's what Buddha said, you know. And everybody's doing paleo. That's what Buddha was talking about, you know. And you see the world coming in, manifesting into the things that I'm teaching, yeah. Where before they wouldn't be there. They would just be, you know, a little bit idea out there, autonomous car, navigation back 15 years ago or something like that, all new stuff. But all that had to be manifest and brought into your life before you can get to a place of your own discernment and discrimination. Yeah, you got to take away all the things that are setting up your demise. Yeah, you have no idea that, you know, without the electric car, without all these different things that are coming in, the planet is going to warp out on you, go into a very, very, very dark place, much quicker than the year 2050, much worse than what's projected, yeah? Simply because there's no alternative, yeah? No one made an electric car for us to do. No one's working on batteries because there's no need for them because we don't have electric cars. And we're not doing solar, so we don't need solar batteries. And we're not doing semis, so we don't need that. We're not doing electric airplanes, so we don't need that. But we are doing those things. All those things are being provided way before your thought form. Yeah? So that when you get to the point of your discernment and discrimination, they're right there in your view. Yeah? So it makes it easy for the next 10 to 15 years, a possibility within the next 5 years for people to make an enormous shift in their lifestyle that could put economy and finances toward an ecological change where industries close and they move into an alternative industry. Like fossil fuel cars all go electric into electric car industry by the year 2025. Every single one of them, semis, trucks, everything. Automobiles, airplanes, all of it starts moving in to this whole other alternative situation, just simply because it's coming from above. All the answers are coming from above, yeah? And that's because humanity is being moved into discernment and discrimination. And if we take the cooperation, the Spirit of the Holy Spirit, and move with cooperation, yeah, and facilitate that, that increases like you can't imagine. Yeah, out to humanity. Because the first initiation in humanity is to transmit the seventh ray to the throat center, which is the Holy Spirit. And that's the very first one. And that's when you actually use discernment and discrimination, but it comes to you in nature. It's a bodhisattva quality. So when bodhisattva wakes up inside of humanity, that means that it's time for them to start having discernment and discrimination. And then you start having all these alternatives put in front of their face so that immediately they choose the right alternative to discernment and discrimination. And the door closes to the astral plane, which is all the industries and all the things that move you to your knee-jerking process rather than your heart, which is provided from up above, coming down into new industries and new technologies and new advancements. Does that make sense? It's a pretty cool way to put it, I think, yeah. All right, so let's pray. Okay, repeat after me. Lord Jesus the Christ, thank you for bringing me here. Lord Jesus the Christ, I open my heart to you today. I invite you to come inside. Lord Jesus the Christ, save my life. Receive me today as a child of God. Forgive all my sins and write my name in the book of life. I give myself to you, my spirit, my soul, my body. Receive me, Jesus the Christ. Now, the devil, the blood of Jesus the Christ is against you. I command you now to leave me. I do not belong to you. I am God's property. Leave my life. I disassociate myself with you. I renounce every evil covenant. I have entered in with you. In the name of Jesus the Christ, I have received salvation. I am a child of God. Amen. That's a fact. Okay, this meditation is visual, so watch it on the screen. And this is for the invocation of healing the nations and the planet. Yeah, so listen closely. You are these rays, yeah, and you are a caretaker, to Earth, a co-creator with the Lord. It's a matter of the Holy Spirit and cooperation. So if you use your discernment and discrimination, you follow through on a day-to-day basis, then you'll become wiser than you were next week, And those changes have to take place, for this to be a healing effect, for everything to change, because ignorance and denseness and habit comes from these agreements that you take with the dark side, So as you actually release that, and it does dissipate, it can't take a long time. Doing this prayer can take a very long time to get so many agreements to dissipate, because they come up on a day-to-day basis, and you're pushed into that, and all of a sudden you're in an emotional state, and you're going through this process, and simply because you have not renounced fully, because when that comes up, It's just another opportunity for that covenant, to come back in and to draw you back in to that kind of reaction. So you got to learn to deal with people in a very understanding way. You have to know people can be sick, can be wrong, but it doesn't mean that they're evil. It means they need understanding, they need compassion and empathy, and they need to stop it. You need to have the strength to be able to not be affected by it, and that Holy Spirit moves on to your problem, and it changes it. So everything in this blessing, in this process, has to do with your ability to know that this doesn't just happen once you say the prayer. Every day you've got this going on. We've got Trump still in office. We've got all this crap going on. Half the United States voted for him. So this is going to be quite a road. And we need to stay strong in that and know that we must change in ourselves as a more compassionate, more empathetic person without emotional responses. If we have emotional responses, we have symptoms. So we just need to make sure we keep this process up until we don't have those emotional responses. Okay, enjoy. Seven rays to raise the senses of humanity, expressed as the soul. I invoke the sense of hearing in the seventh ray, hearing the word of God, the word of power. I invoke the sense of touch and the first ray as the finger of God. As the sixth ray, as the desire of all the nations. I invoke the sense of smell as the fourth ray, of revelation. I invoke the sense of intellect as the fifth ray, as the knowledge of God. I invoke the sense of intuition as the second ray, the understanding of God. I call upon the synthesis of the seven rays to be expressed through your personality. As the first ray of ideas, the mental body, the purpose, your life. Second ray of ideals, the astral body and your quality. The third ray of idols, your physical body and your form. The fourth ray of the fourth kingdom of humanity in balance. The fifth ray, the third kingdom, the animals. The sixth ray, the second kingdom, vegetables. The seventh ray, the first kingdom, minerals. I call upon the relationships of all the kingdoms to penetrate the personality of humanity and express its collective soul. The seventh ray and the fourth ray as the mineral kingdom. The second ray, the fourth ray, and the sixth ray as the vegetable kingdom. The third ray and the sixth ray as the animal kingdom. The fourth ray and the fifth ray as the human kingdom. The fifth ray and the second ray as the egoic soul. The sixth ray and the third ray as planetary lives. The first ray and the seventh ray as solar lives.
all the nations, to penetrate the planet Earth, to bring forth the geomantic relationships of the soul, to integrate the egoic ray and the personality ray of each nation, and to express its true expression, to make manifest peace on earth as one living body of God. I call upon India to bring forth its fourth ray of personality and to integrate its first ray of soul to manifest the hidden light. I invoke China to bring forth its third ray personality, to integrate its egoic soul into its first ray, to manifest as the indication of the way. I invoke Germany to bring forth its first ray of personality, to integrate its egoic soul of fourth ray, to preserve the truth. I invoke France and its third ray personality, to integrate its fifth ray of egoic soul, to release the light. I invoke Great Britain and its first ray personality and its second ray egoic soul to bring forth its service. I invoke Italy and its fourth ray personality to integrate its sixth ray soul, to carve the two paths. I invoke the United States and its sixth ray personality to integrate its second ray soul, to light the way. I invoke Russia and its sixth ray personality to integrate its seventh ray soul, to link the two ways. I invoke Australia and its fifth ray personality to integrate its fourth ray soul and serve the lighted way. I invoke Spain and its seventh ray personality to integrate its sixth ray soul, to disperse the clouds. I invoke Brazil and its second ray personality to integrate its fourth ray soul, to hide the seed. I invoke the entity of this planet, the planetary logos, to incarnate the life and the beingness of this planet. I invoke the expression of the second ray force into both the personality and the egoic rays of the nation, and the personality of the egoic ray of humanity, to fuse itself and its light into its healing process. I invoke the esoteric law of solar energy to make manifest the cosmic force of light, love, and peace.
Okay, just relax. Okay, open your eyes. So you listen to a puja like this, and you might wonder, what are those rays about? How's that going to affect, the healing of plants and animals, and solar ray is such and such, and the ray of vegetables is such and such, and it's for your understanding, that God is all inclusive. God has it all radiated, But the problem is that we have education in society that is misdirected, and it's not really enlightened. And the information that you get from about the seven rays is, you can read the blue books of Alice Bailey, or you can read Michael Robbins and esoteric psychology, and all of that is good information, but it's not the truth. It's not the full truth. The full truth is that God is only one ray, not all seven rays, but is one ray, and that's the ray of love. And out of those rays are manifested the seven rays. So God is the creator of the seven rays, and God radiates through those seven rays, and they all manifest into vegetables and minerals and animals and gases, and this planet, is made up of that. Solar system is made up of that. The sacred geomancy altogether is made up of that, But the key is that we're human beings, so what about us? How do we infuse our soul with our personality? If you read these books, you're going to go, well, what are my rays? As though that's important. And it's not important, because the books are misleading. They leave out the monad, God. They don't even tell you about God. They tell you that there are a whole bunch of people on earth that had souls and personalities, and these are their names. But none of those people had a soul. They had a personality, and if you study even further, and you go into what Michael Robbins says is the ray package of Jesus Christ is not the ray package of Jesus Christ. He says it's a 1-6. Jesus didn't have a 1-6. He had a 2-6. And then he says Krishna was a 1-4. No, Jesus wasn't a 1-4. Jesus was a 2-4. Very different. If you study it, the kind of personality characteristics a person of a 1-6 or a 1-4 would be, and be the avatar of peace and love, and be incarnated in those rays, impossible. But if the book is written by Lucifer and false prophets, then you would put the avatar in a opposite ray package. And people would read it, and they would not discriminate. They would not be able to realize, well, this is bullshit. This is not even saying the avatar is love. They're saying that they're more first ray and sixth ray and devotion and things like that. So it really leaves you in a lie of illusion, and it's not meant to be a specific lie. It's just no truth in it, no wisdom in it, no ascertaining of higher stages of enlightenment in order to be able to describe these teachings properly. So the real way that it's described is that God is a second ray, and that everybody's working out the plan through reincarnation. And that every living human being is second ray. Yeah? They're the child of God. So that means every incarnation of the avatar would be primarily second ray. So all the behaviors, if you study the rays, now you can study the rays, look at Jesus and go, oh my God, yes, he's full of love and devotion to God. Yeah? And Krishna, full of love and devotion to earth. That was his life of earth service. Yeah? And you could see it. You can understand him. You can understand how he lived the way he did and how he had a householder life and all those things going on. It all makes sense if you understand that every time the avatar comes, he incarnates as a ray of God, but comes as an attribute in order to raise up humanity by taking one of the rays of attributes and raising it up, into God. And there's always the enlightenment of the avatar that raises up those elements. So it could be a sixth ray, could be a fifth ray, could be a fourth ray, a third ray. Yeah, any of those rays are raised up in the life of the avatar. Yeah, whether it be Padmasambhava, that's obviously a very first ray entity. Yeah, yeah, first ray physical form. Poof, he's incarnated, made manifest. With a second ray soul. Yeah, so he's a fully enlightened master at 9 years old. You would see that if you understood the rays and you understood how this works, and then you try and understand yourself and your mundane world and this physical body, and you try and ask someone, what is my rays, and then try and figure it out as a soulless human being, you'd be read right to the devil. Yeah? You'd read into it, oh, I'm probably sixth ray, another negative attribute. Oh, I'm probably fifth ray, another negative attribute. And you can't see anything of the second ray because it's in the delusions of grandeur second ray rather than the naturalness of second ray. Now, if you studied every single ray, your physical ray is second ray. It's just in a state of evolution. You need to change. You need to change. And that could be this life, next life, 1,000 lives away. But one day, you will have a second ray physical body. And one day, you will have a second ray mind. So every life, you have to develop second ray in each of those vehicles in order to incarnate in your evolutionary state. You can't choose a ray. Can't go, oh, I bet you I'm fifth ray, and lock in on that and think, what? I'm fifth ray, I'm living it up now, I'm fifth ray, I'm really doing it, I'm going to study all I want, and I'm going to do all these little concrete things, and I start doing plumbing, electronics, man, I'm a fifth ray, real fifth ray master now, I'm really, but it's not. It's the second ray that's teaching you that, not the fifth ray at all. But you got caught in God and the machine, and now you're a Luciferian. So that wasn't a good idea. Does that make sense? Yeah? The only way out of this thing is to focus on God and know that the only thing you're going to get from God is God. And the only thing God is love. And if you try and figure out, how did God create this thing? How did God create me with all these individual rays? And how do I orchestrate those rays to become a master? Sorry, Lucifer, I can't help you out. Can't help you out. But when you're ready to stop being Lucifer, and let's talk about God, how can you better align yourself to God? And your rays are God's rays. So they have to be second ray. Your physical body, if you study it, you'll find your normal attributes are second ray. You're lazy. Yeah? Yeah? You love to sleep. Yeah? You love to eat. Yeah? You love to lounge around and be driven anywhere and, sit on an airplane and be driven anywhere. It's all second ray. You love all those things. It's the nature of you. It's the good side of you. Yeah? Serving and being served. Kindness and being kind. Yeah? Generosity and being generosity. That's all second ray. None of the other rays are in there other than your ability to discern and discriminate the differences without bias. Yeah, bias would mean that you think that you are a fifth ray. Or maybe I'm a very religious sixth ray person. Or maybe I'm just a super duper third ray person and I've really got it made with, economy, mathematics. I can do 1, 2, 3, 4, all these things. Yeah. I'm very fast. I do a lot of things real fast. Must be third ray. No, you're just a nervous wreck. You're a mess. And what would really calm you down would be the second ray. What would really enlighten you would be the second ray. Yeah? What would make you a healer, wise and understanding something, would be the second ray. What would get you to be a good leader? Second ray. None of the other rays, even though the first ray says, I'm the best ray, I'm the first ray, I'm it. Or third ray, I'm it, I'm in charge of everybody, I'm a manager. But the second ray walks in and says, okay, let me help you out. Let's get together and work on this. That's what everybody's going to evolve to, that nice person, rather than these other separate natures that are found in the animal kingdom, in the mineral kingdom, and Luciferian realms when you're lost. Yeah? And you have no rays. And you're fighting in order to become a ray. Because you cannot choose to be a second ray. You can't choose to be a monk or a nun. Yeah. Because the second ray only aligns to your solar plex, and your solar plex goes like this. Yeah? Instead of, oh, I'll listen to you. I'll consider that. That's a good idea. I'll do that. Yeah. Well, thanks, Lucifer. That's really good of you. That's really good. Maybe we'll work this out later, Lilith. But that's what it is. Everybody comes from that one side. And I'm trying to get you over to where you come from. Yeah? And that's God. Yeah? So if you want to study the rays, study the second ray. If you want to study the rays, study the vehicles, the soul, personality, mental, emotional, and physical body, and only study the second ray. When you get to the soul and personality, don't look at the negatives of those rays. Look at the positives, because that's where you're going. Yeah? It's easy to see the negative. You've got every single one of them. Yeah? Don't bother with it. Know it's there. Yeah? And just shoot for strength. Yeah? Yeah? Because it's there. Yeah? It holds the responsibility of all the other rays and all your chakras, and that's how you become a master. So when you become a master of all these elements that are making you think you're not love, you're a fifth ray. No, you're fourth ray, you're an artist. No, third ray, you're an economist. No, you're sixth ray, you're a religious leader. All these personalities, all these things you think you got to live out, and they're none of them. You're none of them. Not one of them. They're all just fake positions in our life that have been made up to take the place of love. Yeah. Does that make sense? Yeah? Yeah. All right. Hope that helped out. Enjoy.